the transition though, for me from that season to becoming a leader is when I started to really step into what I believe was the profession, right? I do think there's a difference in how you operate in the business. And I think it's okay. Like, I'm just gonna be honest.
Yes. Oh, yes.
You know what I mean? Like, I think there are people who are like, hey, I really just love this product and I want the discount. And like, that's really cool that you can get one, right? Like, yay, thank you, company, for giving me a discount because I'm willing to be on a, subscription model or whatever it is, right? And so I think that is totally fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with that, but like acknowledging, I'm doing this so I can get the discount. But then there's this other hat, right? There's this other opportunity within the industry, and you kind of get to pick and decide, but you have to pick. You can't just say, oh, part-time, whatever. I'm just going to do it when I feel like it, right? For the flexibility. And it's like, yeah, you can have flexibility about when you work, but you still have to do the work. Welcome to the Kingdom Minded Mompreneur, where we, Becky
and Monique, your new biz besties, both busy moms just like you.
We're here to talk all things network marketing, mom life, and how to truly live out your calling. We'll be dropping 2 episodes each week to help you, the busy mompreneur, know the exact strategies to build both your business and your home. You'll hear each week from one of the top network marketers on their best tips for what's led to their success and what's working now.
We know that you're here because you are called to something more. You have a desire to succeed in both your business and at home, and we are going to teach you how. If you love what you hear here on the podcast and want to be one of our success stories, join us inside our community, the Kingdom Minded Mompreneur, where we provide a daily social media action plan, additional resources, kingdom coaching, and more. Click the show notes for the link to join. So let's get into the episode. Welcome back to the Kingdom Minded Mompreneur podcast. Hello, Becky.
Hello, hello.
We are excited to be back with you again today. I am Monique Scribb, and this is Becky Baxter, and we are bringing you another episode today. And today we're going to be answering the question, which is network marketing a real profession?
Dun, dun, dun.
We would love to know what you guys think about this. But we just wanted to have an honest conversation about the profession of network marketing and kind of share our perspectives and our experiences. We have 2 very different experiences in the network marketing industry. And so I was with one company for a period of time that ended up going out of business, but I did that alongside when I was working in the insurance industry. And then we had adopted 3 children. So we went from 0 to 3 kids through foster care and adoption. And I had just started a second network marketing company, and I saw the vision. I saw what was possible. I saw what this could be. And as I was stepping into that, I also recognized that my time at my full-time job was all consuming. Like, I realized, man, I am not becoming, I just become this new mom. And I was like, I don't have the time to pour into my kids the way that I want to, or I'm exhausted. Like, I give all of my energy at work, all of my brain space, my, the best of me, my personality. And then I come home and I'm just tired. And I was like, I just don't feel like they're getting the best of me. Long story short, I saw what was possible. And I remember thinking, okay, so I worked in the insurance industry. We were the #1 sales team in the entire country. Okay. And one of the things that we would do is we would make 25 sales calls every single day. It was like tracked. It was this automated computer system, and we had to make 25 sales calls every single day. And I would challenge myself to do this every day before noon. I think it was just, I don't know. I was competitive because every day we had like a ranking, and I always wanted to be #1 on the ranking. So I would like push myself to really like pound the phones. Anyway, my point in saying all this is I remember when I had this aha moment. I was sitting there at my desk and I thought, okay, if I am required to make 25 sales calls per day for this company. And I challenged myself every day to do it before 12 o'clock. And I thought, if I can do that for this company, what if I took that exact same skill set and I did this in network marketing for myself? Like, I would succeed. Like, I just remember having that like aha moment, like, hey, I can totally succeed at this if I put just as much energy into network marketing as I do in my business. And so, long story short, I was able to make that pivot. But I just would love to, Becky, just hear your perspective on the
Yeah.
professionalism side of it and maybe how you saw that and how that played out for you.
Yeah. Well, I think for me, a lot of people know my story, but for those of you that don't, I stepped into the industry kind of out of desperation. I mean, that was the headspace I was in. I was separated at the time from my then husband, and I was feeling like I have to make money, and I was a stay-at-home mom, and he had financially cut me off. And I obviously had I was a teacher by trade before, and I did love teaching, but I was in the season of I want to still be home, and I think a lot of women can relate to that. And I honestly was like, for me, it was started about numbers. Like I kind of like what you were saying. Like I was like, okay, I know I need $1,000 a month. And I basically did that my first full month. I made like $1,003 or something, and it was kind of this thing of like, knowing which levers to pull and like operating the system and just leveraging the opportunity. And so when I started, it was more of like, okay, well, if I can just make $1,000 a month, I don't have to go back to teaching. I can, afford the bills for us or whatever. And it's going to be okay. Kind of mindset, And so to me, I was making money. So it was like yes, I came into it, like I said, out of desperation and recognizing that there was a little bit of stigma, I think, around it, but I felt like, my why was big enough. The reason behind, I knew what was going on in my personal life, right? And I knew that it was important enough to me, like it was a priority that I would just figure it out. And so the transition, though, for me from that season to becoming a leader is when I started to really step into what I believe was the profession, right? I do think there's a difference in how you operate in the business. And I think it's okay. Like, I'm just gonna be honest.
Yes. Oh, yes.
You know what I mean? Like, I think there are people who are like, hey, I really just love this product and I want the discount. And like, that's really cool that you can get one, right? Like, yay, thank you, company, for giving me a discount because I'm willing to be on a subscription model or whatever it is, right? And so I think that is totally fine. Like there's nothing wrong with that, but like acknowledging, I'm doing this so I can get the discount. But then there's this other hat, right? There's this other opportunity within the industry, and you kind of get to pick and decide, but you have to pick. You can't just say, oh, part-time, whatever. I'm just going to do it when I feel like it, right? For the flexibility. And it's like, yeah, you can have flexibility about when you work, but you still have to do the work.
Right. Well, and I think also it's really a mindset thing because if in your mind, if you tell yourself you are a professional, I remember we had Christy Goodman. If y'all missed that episode, Christy Goodman Trujillo, you guys, she is number one with Park Lane. Go listen to the episode. I'm not even going to repeat everything she said. But something that she was talking about is she said that from day one, when she stepped into her company, she viewed herself as a professional and she showed up as a professional. She worked like a professional. And I think that is really like, I know in my mind, when I made that transition, I knew that's what I wanted to do. And so when I stepped into it, like I remember telling myself, okay, Monique, you are not a stay-at-home mom. Like, don't get distracted when you get, now that you're home. And this is what happens, I think, with a lot of people is maybe you make the transition or you want to make the transition and you spend your days telling yourself you're working, but you're really not. Like, you're not doing the income producing activities. You might be meeting people for lunches and going and doing this
Yeah,
and doing
play
housework. And
dates.
Yeah, play
laundry.
dates.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with those things. Absolutely. Like that's the beauty of having flexibility. But work hard, play hard. Even right now, I've shared this before. If you guys listen to the homeschool, by the way, if you did not listen to the homeschool podcast episode we did, it was a training, but we repurposed it into a podcast. I really want to encourage you to listen to that because I broke down my business hours. And I think even if you are not a homeschooler, go listen to that episode because it gave a lot of really practical tips on how to plan out your day. But just for the sake of being practical, I'll say, like, right now, I work in the morning time and then I start homeschooling my kids at noon. And so I know everything has to get done before before I have to homeschool my children. And they are a priority. That is a priority in my life in this season, but my work is also a priority. And so I know that there are certain tasks. And here's the beauty of this is when you set business hours, you will get things done. Like you will get things done. A lot of times when you don't set business hours, it takes you all day. Let's say, for example, you want to post something really meaningful, or like you created a call to action post that you're like, oh, I need to do this, whatever. Well, if you give yourself all day long to create the post, to come up with a reel, to take a picture, or whatever else, it will take you all day. Or if you tell yourself, hey, I've got to get this posted before 8 a.m., like you will sit down, you'll get it done, you'll upload it, you'll whatever, because you know you have limited time. And I think that for our audience, I love what you said, Becky, about there is beauty in the differentiation of the person who comes into this industry because they're like, I want a discount, or I love the community and I just want to stay connected with this community, but I'm not really interested in building. And that is perfectly okay. Like that is the beauty of this, is you can do that. But for the woman who you know that you know that you know that you are here because you see the big picture and you feel this calling that God is calling you to something more. If that is you, you need to get serious. Like you need to get serious about setting business hours. You need to get serious about your growth. You need to get serious about recruitment because recruitment is the thing that is going to propel your business to the next level. And if that is you, you have to start seeing this as a professional. Does that mean you have to work 40 hours a week? Absolutely not. Like you can work 3 hours a week in your business. You can work 1 hour a week in your business. I'm sorry, not a week, a day, a day. You can work 1 hour to 3 hours a day in your business and see amazing results if you stay focused on income producing activities.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny too, because I can think back on, my first year in the business and, I mean, I was just like doing my thing, right? Because it was in-home parties. I was, consistently, I was totally a student of the business, but I hadn't really tapped into the recruiting side yet. And I hadn't really viewed it as growing. I was just in this mindset of, I just need $1,000, right? Like I said, it was like desperation. Like I would do whatever I needed to make the $1,000. And then after that, it was like, whatever. But, it's funny because she obviously, my upline, obviously saw in me, right, the consistent efforts and the discipline it took to get the desired result, right, that I wanted out of the business. And she was, mentoring me. And I remember at one point I had this like assignment where I had to sit down and time block. And it wasn't because I wasn't doing things, but she was obviously teaching me discipline, right? Teaching me, to really just be intentional with my time. And this was when it was like she was taking me through this leadership training series, and it was me and like I think one other or two other people going through it. And I just remembered, I can still remember sitting down and doing that time blocking thing. And it was several months into the business. It wasn't like on day one, she wasn't like, hey, here's this heavy thing. You need to figure out your schedule. It was like, okay, this girl is consistent. She is, realizing there's more to this, right? So I need to invest my time and energy into teaching her those things because a lot of people, I think, because of the design of the industry, people sometimes I think do get confused around what it really takes, which we also did a podcast episode on that. And it's like, it's not a matter of can you get wealthy from the industry? Yeah, 1000%. but there is no overnight success. And if there is, it's like a fluke thing, right? It's like winning the lottery. Okay. So let's just be honest. Like, who do you know that's won the lottery? I actually know one person.
One of our clients won the
Yeah, we know
lottery.
one person, but the point is it's a freak thing, right? And so the people that are having success, the people that you're seeing at the top, it's this they made the decision to set the business hours, to be intentional about their time, to never give up, to despite what other people say about what they're doing, right? It's this decision of, okay, well, your opinion does not dictate my success and my results, right? Like I'm still going to keep going and showing up. But I think more than anything, the time blocking really helped me. That lesson of, I didn't know it, right, at the time, but she was teaching me discipline. She was teaching
Mhm.
me, like, hey, there's like she even said, let's put on there like when you plan to play with Sarah. Like when are you going to be with Sarah? Is she going to Mother's Day out? Can your mom help? Like what does your week look like? When could you work? It wasn't like I need you to work 27 hours every week. Like it wasn't like that. It was just like when can you work? Let's look at that
Mhm.
first. What are you willing to commit to? And then we will fill that time with the things that are going to get you your desired result. And
Mhm.
that was so powerful. It was a powerful lesson that really, helped me throughout my career.
Yeah, and I think you recognize when you do that, you recognize it doesn't take as long as you think it does. It's kind of like the term eat the frog. So much of your energy is like dreading doing the thing that
Yeah.
you need to do. And if you actually sat down and did it, you'd be like, oh, that didn't take, that did
Right?
not, it's kind of like cooking dinner. I just don't, anyway, whatever.
No.
The very thing that you're like, I don't feel like doing this. But then when you finally do
Yes.
it, you're like, it didn't take that long. It wasn't so bad. And it helps you to get to where you want to be ultimately. And so I think that there's a lot to be said about just doing like, just get it done. And this sounds, I'm going to use this example. This sounds really silly, but we have, I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about when you say like, okay, in your home, you know how you have like certain places for things, but then sometimes you put things in a place where you don't necessarily always put it. Okay, I don't know if I'm making sense. But we have, if you know a little bit of my story, we recently, less than a year ago, had a tree come through our house, destroy our house. And so we were displaced. We lost a lot of things and we were displaced and we're living in a rental until our home is rebuilt. Okay. So there have been many times where I'm like, where is such and such, like these random items? Like a couple weeks ago, I was like, I needed a paperclip. I was like, I have no idea where the paper clips are. Just random like items. Okay. And so I recently started telling myself, okay, Monique, you need to put things back in this one specific space. Like instead of, like, for example, if you walk into a house and maybe some days you leave your shoes by the front door, some days you take your shoes off in the kitchen, some days you, whatever, like stop right then and go put your shoes in the closet. This is me talking to myself. I'm like, all right, put your shoes in the closet. If that's where they go, put them in the closet. Put your keys in this one spot. So when you go to leave your house, you're not spending 10 minutes. Oh, did I leave it in my purse? Did I leave it in my bedroom? Did I leave? Like, put it in one spot. So that's what I'm trying to say about your business activities is do your business activities. Just have the discipline to take a little bit of extra time and do the activities that you need to do so that you're not making your life harder, so that you're not looking for your keys metaphorically for 15 minutes before you have to leave the house versus being like, oh, I was disciplined enough to put my keys in this one spot and I know I'm never going to spend time looking for my keys. So take the extra effort and be disciplined with your business hours and the actions that you know are needed to move the needle forward so that you're not making your life harder.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, what people will realize inevitably, which is what you and I have both realized, is that, you know, initially it's really hard to do those things, but then it becomes this habit, right? So now, right, you're like, this is where my keys are. And it's just this like mundane, like part of who you are, right? Or, you know, I love, I love the Nike slogan, just do it.
Yes.
Because it's like, okay, if anyone who is not working out, you'll resonate with this, right? Like you probably feel like just do it and get it over with, right? Like if you're not in this headspace of like healthy living and taking care of your body the way you desire to be, right? Maybe it is this daunting task, working out or whatever, right? Kind of similar to your business. If you're not in the headspace of those business activities consistently, it's this big, heavy, daunting task. But the reason why I love the Just Do It campaign is, and I think why it's been so successful and resonated with people is because, even on the days that's really hard, right? Even on the days when you feel like you don't have the time or you don't have the energy, it's like, just do it anyway, go do the
Mhm.
thing. And then you will be grateful later. And so, for those of
Mhm.
you, though, that are in a healthy mindset and are really intentional about moving your body, I think you can relate to the fact that, yeah, I'm glad I just did the thing because now you probably crave the exercise. You love it. It's a, stress release. Like for me now, if I don't get my walk in, like I can tell, like I want to get outside. I want to take the time to walk. I feel like I'm a better mother. I'm a better business owner. I, sleep better at night, go to bed easier when I exercise. My dogs are happier. Everyone's happier. And it's just funny, something that maybe I once dreaded or didn't make a priority. Like it wasn't that I dreaded. I've always been an athlete per se, but I did. I gained a bunch of weight, so it wasn't as easy. It was like harder physically on me to want to work out. And now I enjoy it. And it's like something I want to do. And so I think with our business or just with anything in life, it's like sometimes it doesn't start out enjoyable. It's frustrating and hard. And then as you continue to do it, it becomes a part of who you are.
Yes. Oh, I love that. It becomes who you are. And if we are truly living kingdom and we know that there is a calling, and I think, Becky, obviously you and I are very aligned in this. It's like you and I know, like we know that we know that we know that what God has called us to. And it is so clear and so evident. And so if you're listening to this and you know that God has called you, going back to the just do it thing, like you just have to do, like you literally have to do it out of obedience. If God
Yes.
has called you to your network marketing business, you have to operate out of obedience. If He's called you to reach out to a certain person, talk to them about the opportunity, you have to do it out of obedience. If He's showing you, hey, this is the path for you bringing in extra income, maybe you've been struggling financially and you and your husband are like, man, I don't know how we're going to make ends meet, and you have this thing, God's given you this thing. It's like, hello, wake up. Your business is the answer for you've been praying and praying and praying for finances. You've been praying for breakthrough. You've been praying for relief. And He's like, here is the thing. And
Yeah.
so I think it goes back to you have to be about the Father's business. And if you are about the Father's business and He has given you this opportunity and you're not taking advantage of it, you're not stewarding it. I think of the story of the parable of the talents and how He gives them, there's three different people and He gives them certain talents, and one of them, wasted away, one of them gets a little bit of return, and then the other one gets a big return. Like the other one invests it and brings back this huge return. And I think of the Proverbs 31 woman who she goes and she plants a vineyard and she trades things and she sells and she's doing all these things, and she is about the Father's business. And so I think if you are kingdom minded and you have an opportunity and you're wasting that, just think about that. Just think about that. I'll leave it at
Yeah.
that.
Well, I love it because I think too, we don't get to decide when God allows supernatural events to happen, right? Like we don't get to decide which moment in time, which action, which obedient moment he leans into. And I think because of that, he is expecting us to still show up and do the work. Because then he can say, okay, she is now equipped. She is now prepared. She is now at a place in her spiritual walk, in her physical health. Like she is now at the most opportune moment for me to tap in and, accelerate growth, to
Yeah.
make something go viral, right? Like we don't get to decide that. And so I think we have to recognize kind of like what you're saying, like God's plans are going to pass. Like they will be fulfilled, whether you are a part of it or not. And to me, I'm like, oh, wait, I want to be a part of it. Like, I'm like,
Yeah.
hold on, God, like I'm here. Send me, right? Like send me. I want to do the work. I want to fulfill the call. And so when we have like this opportunity, right? Like that for exponential impact and income and just evolution of our life and the generations behind us, like stop sitting on it, stop waiting around. And it's not to say you ignore all the responsibilities in life. It's that you be intentional. You treat it like a profession. You treat it like the gift that it is. And because of your obedience, because of your discipline, because of your actions, that is going to lead you down a path where you get to, right? You get to decide how to financially bless others, bless and create this kingdom impact that'll supersede your time on earth. And I think that's truly what we're all after.
Thanks so much for listening to the Kingdom Minded Mompreneur. If you loved what you heard today, could you stop and give us a 5-star rating and review? It helps our visibility on podcasting platforms so others like you can hear more of this message.
Also, if this episode encouraged you, we would love for you to pass it along to your own biz bestie and anyone else who could benefit. Lastly, don't forget that if you want to hang out with us just a little bit more, join us inside the Kingdom Minded Mompreneur community. Click the link in the show notes. Bye for now.